When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject: Identity Crisis. User: ENNOENN3. Posted February 19th, 1998.
This morning, I woke up next to a woman who isn't my wife, in a house that isn't mine, in a life I don't recognize. I knew her name, knew the soft way she breathed in her sleep, the little twitch her fingers did when she was dreaming. I even knew the smell of her shampoo, something floral, lavender maybe. I knew her, but I did not know her like this, a partner, the mother to my children. At least, that's what the picture on the nightstand told me. Me, her, and the kids, two of them, a boy and a girl, arms wrapped around my waist like this is what our life had always been. Confused and still groggy, I laid there on my side, staring at it too long, trying to find the seams, the moment where it all changed. Was I crazy? Is this amnesia? No, it can't be, because I remember this woman being someone else. Not someone else, but not my wife. My son's teacher, actually, Mrs. Calloway. I had met her at parent-teacher conferences back when Andrew was struggling with algebra. She had a husband, at least I think she did, or maybe she talked about one, but now, here she was, sleeping beside me in a bed that felt half familiar, wrapped in a comforter I swear I never picked out. I slid out from under the sheets and padded to the window as she made a yawning comment about soccer practice, but I didn't catch exactly what she said because when I peered out at the street outside, I realized I was staring at my house. This street was the same one I had driven down 1,000 times, but my car, the same make, same model, same dent in the back bumper, was in the driveway over there. That was my house, the one with the cracked walkway I had been meaning to fix, but I wasn't inside it. I was here, directly across from it, in a place I had seen every day, but never once set foot in. That's when panic set in. Had I cheated last night with Mrs. Calloway? Well, the fear didn't last long, though, as a voice I recognized called from the other room, "Dad, will you grab me some toilet paper?" That was my girl's voice. "Deborah, is that you?" I called back as I made my way down toward her. "Real funny, Dad," she yelled from behind the bathroom door. "Oh, okay," I muttered. I moved like I was in a dream. Down the hallway, past framed pictures of moments I almost remembered. Me and the kids at Disney. A camping trip I don't recall taking. I stopped at a door and peeked in. My son sat at the foot of his bed, tying his shoes. He looked up at me with that typical teenage angst. "What?" he groaned. Swallowed. He was the same, exactly the same. This was Andrew. "Morning, bud," I said, the words feeling wrong in my mouth. "Will you get your sister some toilet paper?" "Fine," he shot back, rolling his eyes. I shut the door before he could notice anything unusual. Breakfast was the same weird familiarity. The smell of coffee, the quiet hum of the fridge. She, my wife, or my son's teacher, the woman I wasn't supposed to be married to, was pouring orange juice, wearing a robe that looked like one I'd seen in a store once, but never bought. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded too quickly. "Yeah, I just didn't sleep great." "Maybe slow down today," she suggested. "You worked late last week, and after the accident, you probably need to rest." I froze. "The accident?" She frowned, tilted her head like I had made a joke that didn't land. "Yeah, the one last week with the deer? You swerved off the road? God, honey, are you sure you're okay?" "I don't remember any accident." I excused myself, pretended I needed a shower, and headed back to the bedroom. What the hell was going on? I spent the next 30 minutes locked in the shower, letting the steaming water scald my skin, half hoping it would wake me up from whatever this was, but I wasn't dreaming. The sting was real, the steam thick in my lungs. I leaned against the tile, eyes shut, trying to piece it together. I knew my life, or at least I thought I did. My wife was supposed to be Hannah. We met in college. We got married in a courthouse because she didn't care for big weddings, but now I was married to Mrs. Calloway. And Hannah, she didn't exist here. I let the water run until it turned cold. Then I stepped out and gripped the sink, avoiding my own reflection. I needed proof, something solid, so first I went to the nightstand and pulled open the drawer. Inside was a stack of letters, receipts, and an old leather wallet that felt like mine, but wasn't. Same brand, same wear along the edges. I opened it up. My driver's license was inside, my name, my face. It was exactly what I expected, but the address was this house, the one I had never lived in. And of course, there were family pictures in there too, me with the people downstairs. My stomach twisted. I needed more. I went down to the living room where a bookshelf sat against the far wall, lined with photo albums. I pulled one down and flipped it open. Pictures were glossy, slightly curled at the edges, and there I was, in places I almost remembered, standing in front of a Christmas tree I kind of recalled decorating, holding my son, Andrew, still Andrew, as a toddler at the beach. But in every picture, she was there, my wife, not Hannah, Mrs. Calloway. My hands shook as I flipped further. Wedding photos, birthdays, picnics, soccer games. I slammed the album shut. I had to get out of here. As soon as I stepped out the front door, it hit me. I need to go home. So I walked slowly across the street toward the place I believed I should have woken up and knocked on the door. Patiently, I waited. Hands sweating, anxiety building. I heard footsteps in the foyer, saw a shadow through the frosted glass, and then the door opened. Hannah stood there in front of me. My jaw dropped, my eyes wide. She smiled, the same beautiful smile I had known for years. She recognized me, but then she turned and yelled up the stairs, "Honey, Jack is here."
Subject, the basement blackout. User, StorX7232. Posted March 12, 1996.
The basement of my mom's house has always been creepy. For a long time, there was nothing I could specifically point to. I just never liked being down there. Of course, that's where the washer and dryer are, so over the years, I've managed to get over it a little bit so I can at least do my chores. This was fine until last summer when my mom married Ted and he moved in with his 3 daughters, Amber, Haley, and Jess. At that point, it was decided I should give my room to one of the girls and make the basement my new bedroom. I was pretty pissed about this, and I told them so, but Mom and Ted wouldn't hear it. The basement was officially mine. The basement's about twice the size of my room, and there's an accordion door dividing my part from the laundry area, so they said I should be happy, but it also barely gets any natural light, and there's the small issue of the persistent dread and the thing that lives in the dark. It's almost like being down here more makes whatever causes the uncomfortable feeling stronger, because even before I saw it, I had noticed things getting more intense. It was little stuff in the beginning. I'd turn all the lights off before I left for school, but when I came home, they'd all be on. I thought it was Mom, Ted, or the girls and told them to stop snooping in my room, but they all swore it wasn't them. I didn't believe them until it happened while they were away on an overnight trip for Jess and Amber's swim team. That night, I slept on the upstairs couch and didn't have any issues, but every now and then I swore I could hear noises coming up from the vent, furniture moving, paper crinkling, my computer powering up, even though I knew damn well I had left it off before coming upstairs. I don't know if whatever is down there enjoyed having the place to itself, was curious about me, or just wanted me to know it was down there. When everyone came home the following afternoon, I went back down there, and despite what I'd heard the night before, nothing was moved. I tried to just ignore everything and play video games. Alarm bells didn't start going off in my head until I was laying in bed trying to get to sleep. I heard the basement door open, followed by footsteps coming towards me. The accordion door softly opened, and the footsteps continued until they were right next to my bed. I could hear breathing, but didn't dare open my eyes. Mom hasn't come to check on me in bed since I was little, so even though I kept telling myself it was her, deep down, I knew it wasn't. Eventually, the breathing faded away, but I never heard any retreating footsteps. When I woke up in the morning, both the main basement door and my own were wide open, but at breakfast, no one would cop to coming downstairs. My mom had suggested it had all been a dream, completely brushing aside the fact I'd heard both doors opening. I was absolutely furious. Whatever she thought, I know the difference between dreams and reality. More than her, I think. Since then, the visits have become sporadic, but they reached a particularly terrifying new height the night before last. We had a huge storm blow in off Lake Erie, and it briefly knocked out the power to our town and the 2 on either side of it. That, in and of itself, isn't a major problem. I can live without the computer for a couple days if I have to, but it went out while I was downstairs. One moment, I was watching the Cubs-Marlins game on WGN. The next, everything was black. And I mean pitch black. If I hadn't been frozen to the spot by a surge of pure terror, I wouldn't have been able to see my hand in front of my face. Upstairs, I could hear the girls squealing about the power going out and Ted comforting them. Closer to me, I began to hear breathing. Mom was at work, but even if she hadn't been, I knew better. This was whatever lived in the basement, and it had complete control over me. A chill spread across my body and I felt goosebumps rising. The breathing came closer and closer until it sounded like it was an inch from my ear. I never felt any actual air moving across my face, but the breathing pressed back and forth over my entire body as if I was being inspected. It returned to my face, and I imagined that whatever it was staring directly into my eyes. I gripped the tattered armrests of my chair and tried to keep calm. Whatever this thing was, it was interested in me and had no intention of leaving as long as it had the cover of darkness. Thankfully, it wasn't for long, as the lights came on a few seconds later. In the split second between the lights turning on and the thing in the darkness going back to wherever it comes from, I saw something. It's difficult to describe, but I had the fleeting impression of limbs. Not like you and I have, but more like an octopus's tentacles. It happened so fast, but I'm certain that's what I saw. I'm going to college in the fall, so it looks like I'll be sleeping with the lights on until then. It's going to be a long summer.
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.